Hey everyone, it's your average chess player here. Today we are going to look at an endgame position. I've been studying endgames recently and posting more videos on endgames on the channel. So check those videos if you want to. I came across this specific position and I found it to be instructive and interesting as well. It is White's turn to play, and you can feel free to pause the video and see if White can win this game or it's just going to be a draw. I will walk you through how I solved this position and what variations I saw, and we will see how I did and how I came up with the how I found the actual solution in the end. So head right into it. So in this position, white has like two pawns and black has two pawns. With the one difference that like black's pawn is a bit advanced at f4 and white has a pawn on g2, and these two pawns are just there on the b file on the fourth and fifth rank. So how do we proceed here as white? This, we don't know if it is winning yet, but we know there's a. I can tell you there's a line to force a draw, which is just playing g3 or g4, which would result in the same position. The g3, black can just take the pawn, and then the kings will dance in front of each other all the way to the other side, and they can keep moving around because neither side can make progress or come forward, and the two kings are going to block each other. So out of all the legal moves that are there, like g3 is not going to work, and neither would g4 because black can now en passant, and then white has to take it, and then it's going to be the same dance again, unless black wants to lose by king h4 and like give up this pawn, and then white can even give up this pawn, like dance black all the way up if needed, and then take this pawn. But it's black's turn to play. Black has no moves. Has to go back. So it's just a silly variation. So the pawn moves are out of the question. So we have like three king moves which are legal. So once I eliminated this half, like these two moves with the pawn, I wanted to check king e4 because I was like, okay, my king is slightly away from these two pawns. Maybe if I go and catch up with these pawns first, I can like capture this pawn and push this pawn and force black to waste some moves to get to this pawn and um, like basically queen the pawn, right? So black would need one, two, three, and then three more moves to queen. If white's king was not there, or like in any case, like it's 1 2 or 1 2, and then capture and then three moves. How many moves do I need to enable my pawn to queen? So it's going to be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So it's going to be 8 moves. So we are two tempos short. Like we need two additional moves to actually make our own queen if we had to run away from this pawn. So despite seeing this, I just wanted to show you the variation that I'm talking about just on the board instead of by the number of moves. The variation I calculated initially was king e4 followed by king g4 and then king d5, king g3, king c5, and takes here. And it's clear now, like I would take here, but black would now start queening his own pawn, and then it's a queen. Even if I play like something like king c6 instead of a6, it's going to be the same problem because black would queen first, and then black can play like n number of moves, queen f7, b7, and then like prevent the white pawn from queening. And this will work because black can play this move, and there's no way for the king to get the queen away, and they can bring their own king closer and checkmate the white king. So this doesn't work. um, so I wanted to then look at the other two legal moves, which are like king e2 and f2, with the idea being, okay, so if this was a position where black had to play a move instead of white, would it give an advantage? It's like a zugzwang, and the principles of triangulation that is there in chess, which is you would as a white, we would want to waste a move in order to put the opponent in a position where, oh, if this position was black's turn to play, would black lose? So that's Zugzwang, right? So I was trying to calculate a variation with King E2 where I'm like, I want to come back to the same position where it's my turn to play. So I was messing around with a variation like this where I play King F2 and like, oh, now black has to, maybe play King H4 and um, uh, give up the pawn or something like King H4, King F3, and King G5, and then I ended up in the same position, and it's again my turn to play. So I was kind of messing around with this. I thought like maybe King F1 here might be winning, but then black had, like, I saw that like this F3, and then there's not much we can do. We have now have to exchange these pawns, and we would again probably dance to the queen side. Black even might get white's pawn, but it might end up in a draw, like takes, and then we can keep doing this, and after this, it's black's turn to play, and even though black's king is ahead of the pawn, it's black's turn to play. So I know this is a theoretical. If this is a theoretical draw. If this was white's turn to play in the same position, then black wins. But it's black's turn to play, so it is a draw. So we have actually gone through all the legal moves. So is this a draw after all? I was heartbroken. I was like, okay, this white has an initiative with king e4, but running away to the pawn on that side did not work. So then I started looking at, okay, where can I deviate? Like, what move is not forced for me as white, right? That is important to know. Um, Forced variations are typically easier to calculate. It becomes difficult only when there are moves that you're not forced to play, but and then that gives us a lot of choices to deal with. So king e4, king g4 was something I was comfortable with. So king d5, I was like, okay, this so far so good. And black will, let's say black will play king g3. Black wants to capture the pawn and go forward. So now here, this is the critical position that I had to pause again just to see, because king c5, I'm not forced. I know that, like, once we saw that, we know it is losing. So what do we do now? Because the variations with king e2, king f2, it just felt like you go back and you keep ending up in the same position. So there's no additional tempo to lose and come back. So this must be probably the way forward. And here I was contemplating a couple of moves. So first one, I thought, okay, maybe I should lose a move here by playing king e4, but then black can play king g4 and we are kind of back into the same position. So I didn't like that. um then I was like, okay, maybe I can play something like king e6, but then I'm too far away from my pawn, and then this doesn't really allow me to do anything, doesn't allow me to threaten anything. And here's where I realized, okay, so how about if black captures this pawn? I wanted to play king e4 to attack this pawn, but I mean black can go back to the previous position, and we would be in the same setup. So that's why I realized, okay, maybe king e5 instead of king e4. So kind of waste that move. Now if black plays king g4, and then I was stuck. I was like, okay, black plays king g4. What do I do now? Like, I don't want to play king d5 again. And I don't want to play king e4 because that would be the same position. So then I was staring at this position for a while, and I didn't really know how to make progress. And then I started doing my process of elimination, which I typically find very, very useful in these endgames. So process of elimination, like I said, like, you go through all the legal moves that your king has here, uh, and like, or whatever piece that you have that you know you have to move with, and then just see, even if it seems odd or impossible or like doesn't make any sense, um just putting the move on the board in your head is gonna be like, oh, this could be a winning move. So I know that king e4 and king d5 kind of leads me to the same position that I had before, so I don't want to do those moves. King d4, it felt like um black can play like king g3, but I'll come back to king e4 again, because I don't want black to capture this pawn for free, and then king g4, and I felt like I was going in the same loop over and over. So I didn't want to play king d4. Then king d6 felt like, okay, so king g3, king e5, and black can again play king g4, and I would end up in the same position. So I didn't want to do that. Then I wanted to try king e6, but like I said, it it would be like king g3. Then I got king f5. I was like, okay, oh, this seems like a good progress, right? So I was like, okay, king e6, and if black plays king g3, then I have king f5, and now black is running out of moves, and black has to play king h4 or king f2 and give up this pawn. And this was like a small nuance which I did not see at all, and realized how key the f5 square is. I was like, oh, this is probably the way to win. But then we need to be fair to black. Black can play king g5 and then say, hey, like, because we calculated king g3, king f5, giving up this f5 square, we are able white is able to get in. But if black plays king g5, you no longer have access to the f5 square, so you have to play king e5 back and then king g4, and we end up in the same position. So let's go back. So king e6, although like if black allows us to do it, we can. So that's when I saw, okay, maybe king f6 is a move, because now black does not have g5, and black if black plays king g3, we end up in the same king e6, king f5 variation with king g3. And if black plays king h4, we still get king f5, and black can play king g3, and then we play king g5. Now black is out of moves, cannot go here, cannot go here, cannot come forward, no longer can support the pawn. Let's say plays king takes g2, and now we take this pawn, and this is a winning position, because we can do the same the dance that we did earlier, but we are going to be ahead of our pawn, and the king is not even in front of our king. It's all the way back. There's no way to catch up, and we're going to queen all the way, because that's how the rules of chess work. I was like, oh, this must be the winning variation. And so then I had to like now check my calculations to see if I'm missing anything. King h5 is another alternative, but then king f5. Now I don't even lose this pawn, and I can even like threaten to queen this pawn, and then go all the way to capture it in case black is like hides in this corner or tries to stalemate. Like I didn't even go calculate all that far, but like I know once I get this pawn, I can always trade this pawn for this one and then queen this. So that is obvious. And there are no other legal moves besides king g3, king h4, and king h5 for the king. And you could play f3, which is not that tricky of a move. Um, G takes, and if king takes, I can play king e5, and we would end up in the same variation. We end up in the same position, but not much there. And then there's also something that we need to look at, which is after king f5, king f2, king takes f4. I was worried that at some point it's going to be a draw, but I think I'm misremembering something, but that's okay. So let's go back all the way to the start and just recap what we saw. So the winning line here, which is king e4, with the idea like, okay, I'm gonna with the idea of like going to d5 to first initiate the fact that, oh, I'm gonna go capture your pawn. So black is gonna do the same thing, like, hey, I'm gonna go capture your pawn. So we're playing king d5 with the idea that, oh, okay, I'm still threatening you. So what are you gonna do about it? Black is gonna black can play like a million set of moves here, I think. But if for example, if black doesn't play king g3, that is something we should look at. Black can play king f5, saying, hey, I'm gonna challenge you directly. What are you gonna do about it, right? And then here, white can now play king d4, and black can play king g4, because black cannot come forward. If black plays like something like king e6, I play king e4, and now your pawn is lost. So black cannot do that. So black has to play king g4. Um, like you can play king g5, but then I play king e5. Now you're forced to go down because you have to still keep in touch with your pawn, and then king f6, and we come back to our winning position. So in this position, if black plays king g4, we play king e5, and now we kind of reach the same like winning scenario where we play like we play king d5 and then king g4, and we can just now play king e4, king g5, king e5, and black is now stuck in the same thing, has to play king g4 again and king f6, and we reach our winning variation. So once I got hold of the fact that the f5 square is important, the rest of the puzzle was the position was relatively easier to solve. Tricky endgame. I think the theme here that was given was, I think, corresponding squares and key squares, which really is true, because I didn't know at the start of the puzzle that f5 was that important in this position, and like until I saw the fact that, oh, black, like I have to change my plan to go here and then keep circling around d5, e5, d4, and e4, just to respond to black's wasting of a tempo here. And like if black king's on g5, I should be on e5 to keep battling for that f5 square, and then finally go to f6 to dominate. So that's the position. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm doing an endgame series kind of a thing on the channel right now, where I'm just picking one position, playing through. I posted a couple of videos recently on that. So if you like this video, go watch that as well. Leave a like and subscribe on this channel. Like that would really help me grow my channel. So see you guys in the next one. Thank you.